Xbox brand is currently as strong as it has ever been. Two fantastic consoles, Xbox Series X and Series S, have been backed up by some awesome services, such as the incredible Xbox Game Pass and Xbox Cloud Streaming, as well as some gamer-first initiatives, namely smart delivery and their continued backwards compatibility efforts. But the one major piece missing from the Xbox puzzle has been the lackluster output from their first-party studios. This has, however, been noticed, and Xbox have doubled down on Xbox Game Studios, expanding current studios, creating brand new studios, and of course, acquiring some top talent from around the world. And in this video, I'm going to run you guys through the 14 Xbox Game Studios, discuss what we know they're working on, and show you how Xbox is going to be powering your dreams throughout the next generation. But first, roll the damn intro. What's up YouTube, my name is Gobbler88 and I'm back yet again with another brand new video. And in this video, as always, we are going to be talking about Xbox and more importantly, Xbox Game Studios. And if that sounds good to you guys, I would really appreciate it if you guys would consider liking, subscribing. I would really appreciate it, and it really helps out the channel. Now, if you have noticed I said 14 game studios, you might be thinking, wait a second Gav, Xbox have more than 14 game studios, and you would be right, but I am going to be discounting the Bethesda studios in this video. I'm just going to be sticking to the internal Xbox studios. But if you would like to see a video about the Bethesda studios, drop me a comment below. Anyway, let's get started. Described as the workhorse of Xbox Game Studios, the Coalition have been a safe pair of hands for the Gears of War franchise. Based in Vancouver, Canada, they have headed the two most recent mainline Gears of War games, as well as the recent Hivebuster story expansion. Touted for their stunning visuals, the Coalition have been, if nothing else, consistent with their output, grinding out both Gears 4 and Gears 5 on 3-year game dev cycles. If they were to stick to a similar timescale, we should be expecting to see Gears 6 next year. But with the Coalition having nothing currently announced, I'm expecting them to get more time for Gears 6 so they can fully realise their vision for the conclusion of their trilogy. There have also been reports that they could be working on a second game at the studio. Nothing has been confirmed on this so far, other than the Coalition saying that their upcoming games will be built on Unreal Engine 5. And given what we've seen visually from the Coalition so far, that's exciting. The legendary developer Rare have long been defined by what they've made in the past, rather from what they have produced recently. GoldenEye, Banjo-Kazooie, Diddy Kong Racing and Perfect Dark to name but a few. Sea of Thieves, the game that lets you fulfill all of your pirate fantasies, has been in a roll recently, partially helped by the Pirates of the Caribbean expansion recently released. It is safe to say that Sea of Thieves is only just getting its sea legs, and I only expected to see this game improve throughout the generation. But what I'm more curious to see is what is next up from Rare, and that is Everwild. Announced in 2019 with a gorgeous, if not confusing, trailer. 3 years later, we still don't really know anything about this game. Various reports have stated that Everwild has suffered somewhat of a reboot, and also developers at the studio itself say they don't even really know what the gameplay arc of the game is themselves. It is clear to see that this game is still a while off, but with that being said, Rare have such a long record of making unique, engrossing and delightful games. And yes, there has been a lot of change at Rare since the glory days of the N64. However, I believe in Rare, I believe in Everwild, and I believe that it will be a great experience when it eventually does release. The undisputed kings of the simulation racer, Turn 10 Studios have overtaken Gran Turismo to make Forza Motorsport the game if you like sim racing. Having recently been on a 2-year development cycle, we haven't seen a mainline Forza title since 2018. But we did get an announcement of a brand new Forza Motorsport at last year's Xbox Game Showcase. Rumours have stated that this isn't the Forza Motorsport 8 we were expecting, and this will be somewhat of games of a service. This will be a game built to last, built to be expanded and to be improved on throughout the generation. While games as a service isn't something everybody wants to see, with the advent of things like Xbox Game Pass, which needs content to succeed, having a game which can constantly be developed, constantly be improved, is great for the service. New cars, new tracks, new challenges, and also you can't forget the stunning visuals we have come to expect from the Forza franchise. Turn 10 Studios is sure to keep this racer at the front of the pack. Ninja Theory, the British game studio best known for their work on Enslaved, Heavenly Sword, DMC, and of course Hellblade, have a real chance to become one of these studios at Xbox. Having made no secret of the fact of how difficult it has been to be an independent studio, trying to balance making games to keep the light on and also wanting to follow their creative instincts. The backing, and not to mention the security they have received from Xbox, has given the studio the ability to really focus on what they do best, and that is making games. Project Mana, an experimental game focusing on recreating the horrors of mental issues, is something to keep your eye on. But more immediately and more importantly is Hellblade 2: Senua's Saga. Single player AAA experiences are what Xbox has been lacking, and in Hellblade 2 Xbox may have the answer to the likes of The Last of Us and Ghosts of Tsushima. Hellblade 1 was praised when it was first released for what it managed to do, especially for a game with a relatively small budget. And with the backing from Microsoft, Hellblade 2 and Ninja Theory as a whole really has the chance to take it to the next level, to become one of Xbox's key studios. Undead Labs are hard at work on State of Decay 3, and this hopefully really could be the one that brings everything together. Lessons learned from the previous two entries, as well as more development time on top of a greater budget, has me confident that State of Decay 3 will be the zombie survival game we've all been waiting for. The gameplay and mechanics in State of Decay have never been the problem. The problem has been polish, the problem has been attention to detail. But if what we've seen in that short story trailer we got last year is anything to go by, we're in for a treat. The recently formed studio World's Edge is now home of the timeless Age of Empires. While this is obviously more of a PC-focused experience, after seeing the likes of Flight Simulator make its way over to Xbox, it would not surprise me to see the latest entry, Age of Empires 4, stumble through that fog of war and make its way onto Xbox sometime in the future. Costume Quest, The Cave, Stacking, Brutal Legend, Broken Age, and of course Psychonauts, all titles developed by the super creative wacky minds at Double Fine, the studio headed by Tim Schafer, an industry vet known for his work on many Lucasfilm games. This unique team are famous for giving us games that you certainly can't call by the numbers. Their imagination is the only limit as to what to expect from a Double Fine game. You might find yourself having to defeat an evil dentist hell-bent on destroying Halloween forever, and then find yourself becoming a Russian doll to solve puzzles. You never know what to expect from a Double Fine title, but what you can expect is fun. With Psychonauts 2 just around the corner, I can't wait to hear about what they have cooking up next, and hopefully we'll hear more about it later this year. The Initiative, Xbox's self-built, self-proclaimed quadruple A studio, staffed by some of the industry's greatest, is Xbox's answer to the likes of Sony Santa Monica, Naughty Dog, and Rockstar. A team tasked with developing the next huge franchise for Xbox, and that franchise is a reimagined, redesigned Perfect Dark. In the announcement video last year, there was a clear emphasis on movement, something I'm very curious to see more of. Also confirmed is that this game will be a first-person title, and I just can't wait to see more. In my opinion, The Initiative is the most exciting team Xbox have under their umbrella. They have basically formed the video game Avengers, a talented team backed to the hilt by Microsoft, and I'm expecting big things from The Initiative. Since being purchased back in 2018, Compulsion, the makers of the creepy We Happy Few, have been very quiet. Not much is known about their upcoming title, although Phil Spencer himself has talked about how impressed he has been with what he's seen from the game. A game that I'm expecting to have all the same Bioshock-esque charm we have seen in We Happy Few. I don't, however, expect this to be a AAA level title. What I've liked about Compulsion so far is their uniqueness. They're not afraid to try something a little different, and that's just fine with me. Although Xbox Global Publishing doesn't develop games themselves, they are a key cog in the Xbox machine, securing second-party deals such as Sunset Overdrive, Quantum Break, and Tell Me Why, really rounding out the slate of Xbox games. And considering Game Pass is Xbox's main focus right now, it only makes sense to have a studio purpose-built, focusing on acquiring constant content for the service. There are two massive upcoming titles coming from Global Publishing and their partners. Firstly, Contraband from Avalanche Studios, a co-op, open-world heist shooter set to be released in 2023. And also, the heavily rumoured Project Dragon coming from the team behind Hitman, IO Interactive. Although not officially announced, industry insiders have described this game as a fantasy, almost MMO-like, and IO themselves have described this as their most ambitious game ever. Playground Games have arguably been Xbox's most impressive studio for the last few years. Their open world take on Forza Horizon has taken the world by storm and is debatably the mainline Forza game these days. The next in the franchise, Forza Horizon 5, set in Mexico, is one of my most anticipated games this year. It looks stunning and the gameplay will undoubtedly be on point, as always. Last year at the Xbox Showcase, it was also announced that a second Playground team will be taking the reins of Fable, one of Xbox's legendary IPs. After the shattering of original developer Lionhead, we haven't seen a new Fable release in years. And let me tell you, it's been far too long. Fable was a hugely approachable, colourful action RPG that had the perfect amount of humour and charm, and also seriousness. I love that Playground Games, a British team, seem to be continuing the humour that Fable has been so well known for. And if they can do to Fable what they have done to Forza, I'm sure Fable will be back bigger, better, and Britisher, all the B's, than it has ever been. I can't wait. The Minecraft team, Mojang, will continue doing what they do best: Minecraft. What I like from Microsoft is that they let their teams do what they do. Mojang seem to have the freedom to decide how they further the Minecraft ecosystem. And with a game as successful, as huge as Minecraft, it's clearly working. Minecraft is evergreen, ever evolving, and this is only going to continue this generation. inXile have made a name for themselves as masters of the RPG craft, making games that really take your decisions into account. Making your choices matter is a key component of a good RPG, and that is something inXile has focused on in their titles. Headed by Brian Fargo, an industry great who has worked on the likes of Wasteland, The Bard's Tale, and Fallout, inXile is one to watch this generation. Their next title is said to be a first-person sci-fi shooter built on Unreal Engine 5. Now, when you say first-person sci-fi shooter, what do you think? Fallout, of course. But no, I don't think so. But what I would like to see is a similar take to this, but with their own IP, Wasteland. Yes, I know it's very, very similar, but it makes sense to me, and it's something that I'm sure RPG fans, inXile fans, and Xbox fans would love to see. Sticking on the RPG vein, Obsidian could be set to become Xbox's most productive team in their portfolio. Their three separate teams all have their very own projects. Firstly, a smaller team working on Grounded, the Honey I Shrunk the Kids inspired survival game that has been a fairly successful hit in early access. A second team working on the recently announced sequel to The Outer Worlds, and I gotta tell you, I'm very excited about this. The Outer Worlds was a great introduction to a humorous, sometimes brutal, but equally as interesting universe that I feel can really be explored more in a sequel. And lastly, a third team working on the hugely anticipated Avowed, a fantasy RPG that evokes feelings of the Elder Scrolls all over me. Obsidian really has the opportunity to step up and become one of the major names in the industry. After years of being best known for their work on Fallout, New Vegas, and being in Bethesda's shadow, this generation really could be their time to shine. Arguably, the most important studio that Xbox owns is 343 Industries, the development house purpose-built to be the new home of Halo. Later this year, we will see the release of Halo motherfucking Infinite, and in my opinion, this is the most important Halo release ever. Having taken over Halo development from Bungie after Halo Reach, 343 Industries have been constantly criticised for their handling of the IP, unfairly at times, in my opinion. But lately, there has been some real positivity from the Halo community, from what we've seen from Infinite. I mean, the visuals have improved from what we had previously seen, and the multiplayer looks absolutely sick. Being the biggest and most heavily funded studio Microsoft currently owns, who also handle the biggest IP Xbox has, it is extremely important that Halo Infinite is a hit. Halo Infinite promises a true Master Chief campaign with possible rumoured story expansions, as well as a free-to-play multiplayer, and set to release on Xbox as well as PC. And this is what I feel could be the most important and exciting takeaway from all this. In a world dominated by online shooters such as Fortnite, Warzone and Apex, it's imperative that there is as little barrier to entry as possible to keep the player base high. And everything we have seen from the Halo multiplayer offering so far has me pretty confident that we will see Halo back to the glory days of Halo 3. Well, there you have it, guys. That is the 14 Xbox Game Studios who are going to be powering your dreams throughout the next generation and beyond. Now, as you can see, I'm extremely excited to see what these teams can produce for us over the next few years. But guys, remember to let me know what you guys are most excited about. Which games are you most looking forward to? What studios do you think is going to knock it out of the park? Remember to let me know in the comments below. But that's it, guys. That's the video. Thanks so much for watching. If you did enjoy this video, it'd mean a lot to me if you guys could like, subscribe, all the good stuff. I would really appreciate it. And as always, guys, I would really appreciate it if you guys could share this out. Shout out to your mom, your dad, your aunties, your uncles, your brother, your sister, that cute barista from Starbucks. Get her told. But anyway, guys, until the very next time, I'll catch us.